Join me in today's video where I show you the line side details that I've added, as well as ballasting phase 2 around the depot section of the layout. Hello there, and welcome back to the railway. So we'll make a start with today's video showing you the line side details that I've added. This includes the cable trunking as well as the orange cable wires that are going from the cable trunking to the points. I do have some dummy point motors that I'm thinking of fitting to them, but I haven't got to that yet. I have also started the process of laying some of the ballast. So all of this is just laid loosely, just to give me a rough idea as to where some of the cable trunking needed to go. I don't have any more footage of me adding the ballast in, as it is very simple to do and it takes a long time. So I thought I would just skim over that bit and show you the progress after that had been done. So as you can see, there's some plastic, this is actually bin liners that I've cut up to protect some areas where I didn't want any of the spray mix that I use to go onto. So that just kept that dry, and then after that I then applied all the glue and water PVA mix. I applied that to all of the ballast and then left it for a while to dry. So I've left this for a couple of days now, and the ballast is almost completely dry, as you could have heard there. So all I'm going to be needing to do now is to go across and clean off any bits of ballast that are on top of the sleepers. Doesn't seem to be as many this time, so it shouldn't take too long for me to do that. Once I've done that, I've also got some dummy point motors that I'm going to fit on these 3 points, hence why there's the orange cables going through. And then I've also got some catenary masts from West Hill Wagon Works. So those will be used just go along the back as well here. So I'll start doing that and I'll show you how it goes later. So with all the ballasting done, I've now just been testing the electrical conductivity of the rails. I've had no problems with the outside line, that runs perfectly fine. The inside line runs perfectly fine if all of these points are closed. However, I have been having problems that I've got electrical connectors at this end, and I've got electrical pickups way over there, but they will come all the way around. So there's then electricity going both ways on this, correct polarities and all that. But it seems to be that when I open any of these points between here and here, this entire section here goes dead. And I had no idea why. So I've just been doing some troubleshooting, trying to figure out what it was. I've isolated it down to this is where the problem was, that if all of these were closed, I could run a loco on this side perfectly fine up to here. And I could run it perfectly fine along there, but it was as soon as it passed this point, when one of these were open, as soon as it passed this point is where the problem began. Because it seems to be that this rail here is having some connectivity problems, the one on the inside. So what the problem was that every time I opened one of these points, there's no electricity that goes along this rail. Helps come in camera. There's no electricity that goes along this rail because, as you'll see, it then doesn't connect on this anymore. So it's relying on all the electricity coming from this side. And what was happening was it's going to here, and as soon as it gets to this fish plate here, the electricity wasn't passing through enough. I had a couple of times where the loco was moving, but barely, and then it all of a sudden would just stop. So what I've got at the moment, I'll just see if the power is on at the moment, and I have a class 66 stable there. So if I just zoom in, you can see that the clip is on the right hand side of this joint, and I'm about to touch the left hand side track. I don't know if you would have better hear that, but the class 66 moves as soon as I make electrical connection between the tracks. So if I just zoom out a bit and try and get the 66 in range. So as soon as I touch this wire over on the other side of where that fish plate connects, you can see it works perfectly fine. So that's where the problem is. So now I just need to get around to fixing it. So I'll jump back onto the video in a minute, just after I've got it fixed, and I'll show you how it's going. At this point here, I was just making 100% sure that there was nothing wrong with the point with everything being ballasted in. So I was just making sure that all the electrical connectivity was how it should be, using the cable you can see here, just tapping on certain select parts of the track to make sure that the electricity was passing through it properly. This confirmed to me that there was indeed nothing wrong with the point, and it was solely the rail joiner that was the issue. Just testing the 2 through lines here with my 2 Revolution Trains Class 66s, making sure that there's no stoppages or ballast that's getting in the way of any of the wheels. But that looks all fine to me, so now it's time to check the sidings into the depot. So I'm now going to be testing all of the sections of track leading into the depot. So I'll start off with lane 1, using the bypassing line, as that's the only way you can get into lines 1 and 2 of the depot. You just got to make sure the tripod doesn't move while I'm doing this. Okay, so that's those points working. And I reverse it back and go into lane 2. And that's working perfectly fine as well. So now I'll just reverse it right the way back again and go into lane 3 using the bypassing loop. So I'll just stop that one there, open up this one and that one. Because there are 2 different routes to get into this 3rd lane. So I'll test both of them to make sure they're both working properly. That one's fine, so I'm just going to show you which point so I'm going to change this point here. So that then cuts off this inside line. Open up this one, and close that one. Then make sure it works, which power is going through, so that's a good sign. Let's make sure it runs across without any issues. Yep, and that's gone perfectly fine. So now I shall change these points so it goes into lane 4. The next 2 are reasonably much more simple than the others, just a single point. Of course, I was waiting for that on the first 2 lanes because I've had problems with those 2, but of course it was the one I wasn't expecting it. But yeah, all it was probably just a little bit of dust got in between the blades. As you saw, I tapped the point and it just started moving again, so not too worried about that. So now I'll try lane 6. Yep, that works perfectly fine. No, don't need to do that just yet. Now I flick that point, losing track of which order I'm doing things. Right, and then we'll try the siding at the top as well, just to make sure that's working. Yep, that's all working perfectly fine. So that is now the ballasting of phase 2 complete, as well as the line side detailing. I've also now got this model rail replacement podcast billboard. I'm not sure if that's gonna stay there, that's just for a video I've put on Instagram. Next thing will be sorting out the cable trunking that goes around here up to this new signal box, which I got at the International Engage show. So that was phase 2 of the ballasting. Phase 3 is up to here, and then the same on this side up to where they've ballasted over there. So what I'm going to be doing over the next couple of weeks is then putting all the cable trunking in where I want it to go. I've got, as you can see, cables that will then go underneath, just like they've done over here. So I've got that to do over this side and then over that side before I can do any more ballasting. But what I have been thinking about and considering is, now I've got this ballasting done underneath the bridge, is I'm going to possibly focus next more of my updates on this bridge, gluing it in, starting to add some ballasting on the top. This was supposed to be a different section of ballasting video I was going to do for this track at the top, but I'm possibly going to change what order I do it in, just so I then got this entire section all ballasted up to kind of like here where this bridge crosses over, just so then I can start adding scenery and trying to blend the rock work in a bit more. So then this kind of section is then reasonably completed. So that's all for today's video. I haven't shown you that much of what I've been doing. It's more just showing you after I've finished it. But I hope you've enjoyed. If you have enjoyed the video, please do consider giving it a like and indeed subscribing to the channel. Don't forget, subscribing is free, and if you hit the notification icon, you'll be notified each time one of my videos goes live. I also have an Instagram page. I'll put links to that in the description down below, where I put updates to what I'm doing, probably about 2 weeks ahead of you will see in the YouTube videos, because on there I kind of post it as I do it, whereas the videos takes me a bit more time to process them and upload them. So once again, thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.